side. Don't be side. Don't be side. Don't be side.
David's neighbor has finally spoken out about what he knew about the singer's relationship with the late Celeste Rivas. His testimony paints a clearer...
A man living next door to David has broken his silence about what he witnessed regarding the singer's connection with the late Celeste Rivas. His account delivers a far more unsettling view of what may have unfolded during the months leading up to her death, and the picture it paints for David is anything but favorable. What seemed like a private love story now appears to be something much darker. The inquiry into Celeste Rivas Hernandez's passing shifted dramatically when a primary witness surfaced from David's own neighborhood, offering testimony that challenges the official narrative promoted by the artist's legal team. This unidentified neighbor, who lived right beside the Hollywood Hills home David had rented since early 2024, stepped forward with details that present an entirely different dynamic between the 20-year-old performer and the underage victim. In an interview with The Sun on September 25, 2025, the neighbor stated that he frequently saw the pair together and assumed they were living as a young couple in a committed relationship. The witness, who requested anonymity due to the sensitivity of the matter, described what appeared to be an ordinary domestic setup between two individuals he thought were roughly the same age. They kept to themselves, he said, recalling a calm, quiet pair who never seemed to cause trouble. He emphasized that there were no loud parties or police visits, nothing that would suggest tension or chaos behind closed doors. At first glance, it looked like a typical relationship between two consenting adults. What makes this statement critical is how it fits within the broader timeline. The neighbor claimed he last saw them together around July 2025, long after Celeste had already been missing for over a year. That means while authorities and her family were pleading for information, she may have been living openly just minutes from Sunset Boulevard. The neighbor admitted he was horrified to discover Celeste's actual age and the heartbreaking circumstances of her death. He confessed that he assumed they were both around 18 or 19 years old, a misunderstanding that highlights either Celeste's maturity in demeanor or his limited observation of their personal habits. His impression is somewhat understandable, given that David reportedly avoided casual conversation and maintained minimal contact with those around him. The two appeared to value privacy, which discouraged any deeper curiosity from neighbors. Perhaps the most disturbing portion of his testimony centers on David's car, a damaged Tesla that would later become the focal point of the entire investigation. The neighbor remembered asking David about the vehicle's severe rear-end damage, but David brushed off the question and showed no intent to fix it. That silence now feels ominous in light of what came next. The vehicle, a white Tesla, sat outside the property for weeks with clear signs of a collision that likely occurred in late August 2025. It remained parked there, visibly wrecked, prompting curiosity among residents until it was eventually hauled away on September 5, 2025. Just 3 days later, on September 8, towyard workers discovered a foul odor coming from the car, leading to the grim finding of human remains inside. The sequence of events carries chilling implications. The neighbor reported seeing the damage on August 26 but noticed no strange smells at the time. Police cited the vehicle for parking violations on August 27, then again on September 3, before it was finally removed days later. Investigators believe the Tesla's airtight structure trapped the scent until it was opened at the towyard, which explains why no one in the neighborhood realized what had been hidden there all along. The neighbor's statement has since been validated by numerous news outlets and ignited widespread conversation online. Many users have labeled it a key witness revelation that could reshape how the public and investigators interpret the connection between David and Celeste. Others see it as disturbing confirmation that they were living together as a couple, an implication that raises pressing questions about how adults around them might have ignored or enabled what now appears to be an unlawful relationship. The importance of this testimony is immense. It directly undermines David's legal team's claim that his interactions with Celeste were minimal and instead points to a sustained, intimate living arrangement that would be criminal under statutory law. Given that the neighbor resided directly next door and has shown no motive to lie or exaggerate, his credibility carries significant weight. Following his account, police executed a search warrant on September 18, 2025, at the Hollywood Hills home where David had been staying. Yet no arrest immediately followed, indicating that investigators are still assembling the larger narrative of what took place during the month Celeste was reported missing but may have actually been residing at that property. The neighbor's revelations have intensified speculation about whether individuals in David's professional or personal orbit were aware of Celeste's true age, and possibly turned a blind eye. Across social media, users have voiced outrage, questioning how no one reported the situation, especially since Celeste's disappearance was publicized for months. This witness statement stands as one of the clearest, most tangible pieces of evidence yet about the real dynamics of their relationship, moving beyond rumor and screenshots to first-hand observations from someone who saw them regularly. It has effectively shifted the case from online conjecture to a documented timeline of events that investigators can now verify. As scrutiny surrounding David's conduct escalated, new information surfaced from within his own circle, the friends and acquaintances who had interacted with Celeste at gatherings and private events. Their collective accounts, emerging between September 25 and 26, 2025, form a carefully coordinated narrative built around the claim that they were unaware of Celeste's actual age. Multiple media sources report that David's associates insist they believe she was around 19, portraying her as a college-age girlfriend who occasionally accompanied him to studios and parties. They allegedly point to her mature demeanor and supposed use of falsified identification as reasons for their misunderstanding. Outlets such as TMZ and NewsNation's Banfield have both highlighted this defense strategy, a collective attempt by those close to David to distance themselves from any knowledge of what now appears to have been a prolonged and illicit relationship hidden in plain sight.
The folks that I spoke to are in the LA music scene, so they know David very, very well. They didn't know Celeste as well as they knew David, but they did notice that he was bringing her along when they would go to parties in the music scene.
The group's version depicts Celeste as someone deeply embedded within David's creative and social world.
Maybe they would have hangouts after a recording session, and they knew David to be a very gentle person, is what they told me. They also described him as very soft-spoken. Friends around him are extremely shocked that he's even remotely connected to this grisly murder of a 14-year-old girl. Obviously, he has not been named a person of interest, and from what we've seen, there is no legitimate connection connecting him to the death of this young girl.
The friends firmly maintained their view of David and Celeste as being in a genuine romantic partnership.
Did they get the impression that this was a romantic couple?
Yes, absolutely. So the people that I spoke to that were seeing them together out in the scene believed they were romantically involved. Now look, they did not say anything about PDA, said that David was a very shy, quiet person, and Celeste seemed to mirror that as well. So they weren't out there making out at parties and things like that, but they did believe, because they would see them together so frequently, that these two were in a relationship.
The core argument of the group's defense centers on their stated belief in Celeste's falsified adult identity.
Where did they get the idea that she was somehow a 19-year-old going to USC as a college?
I know. Isn't that just so crazy? Because, you know, we think, how does a 14-year-old child present as a 19-year-old woman? And I was told that these people were just so sure that she was a college student. They were specific and said that she attended USC from what they believe.
Their explanation appears somewhat reasonable when considering the settings where they encountered Celeste.
And also, she was seen at events where there's age restrictions, you know, clubs and parties and stuff like this, where she had to be at least of 18 years old to get in. And we do know from law enforcement sources that she did have several fake IDs as well. So she was able to get into places where there was age restrictions.
Yet, the timeline of these friendships introduces major doubts about the likelihood of their supposed unawareness.
Charlie, it's so sad to hear that you and I are talking about a 14-year-old girl, but I keep going back to the fact that it's possible he connected with her as early as 12, and on the far end, maybe even 11. Did these friends have a long relationship with David? Like, for instance, did they know Celeste when she was maybe 13, or God forbid, even 12?
Yeah, so the people that I spoke with just recently got to know him. You know, he has been popular for quite some time. We know that he had been signed to a record label when he was underage. However, he has kind of blown up in the music scene the past couple years. So it would have been the past couple years that they did know her.
Celeste's growing isolation becomes visible when examining how she lived during this particular stage of her life.
We know she wasn't really home very often because she wasn't attending school.
Well, God, if you think about it, you know, her friends would have been elementary school friends, because it's only a couple years ago that she would have been in elementary school, and if she disappeared at 13, she would have been just into middle school. And it's just the whole idea that we're talking about it is so uncomfortable. But I am so curious about her story and how she presents. And as you mentioned, these friends of David said she presented very much like a 19-year-old.
The group statements have been widely circulated by major outlets, with Fox LA reporting that associates of singer David confirmed he and Celeste Rivas Hernandez were romantically involved and believed she was of age because she used fake identification. The Times of India added that David's friends mentioned seeing Celeste at gatherings and assumed their relationship was ordinary and appropriate.
So, you know, everything he did in his life, she kind of seemed to follow.
Do we know, Charlie, if these friends had any inkling that Celeste had actually moved into that mansion, that she was full-on a resident of that home in the Hollywood Hills with David?
Public sentiment toward these claims has remained largely doubtful. Online commenters have cast heavy skepticism on the idea that the friends were genuinely unaware, especially with emerging evidence implying that Celeste and David's connection may have started when she was only 11 or 12. Critics have cited alleged Discord exchanges from 2022, when Celeste was just 11, questioning how a circle of grown adults could overlook her real age for so long. The publication described the friend's statements as deeply troubling, particularly given that Celeste was reportedly 14 when the relationship turned romantic. The outlet also noted the explosive backlash surrounding the age gap and the disturbing implications of the timeline. The friend's current defense rests on claiming they were misled into supporting what they now call an elaborate deception. Yet that argument falters when placed beside a multi-year digital record suggesting the connection began when Celeste was still in grade school and lasted until her death as a teenage student. The timeline itself is haunting. The most incriminating details in David's case don't arise from one shocking reveal, but from the accumulated evidence of years that outline what appears to be a calculated grooming process ending in catastrophe. As investigators and online sleuths reconstructed digital traces, posts, and testimonies, a chilling sequence emerged that implies their bond started when Celeste was far younger than previously known. Research into their Discord history, photos, and social media patterns indicates that the alleged relationship between David and Celeste may have begun as early as 2022, when she was 11 or 12. This detail is vital. It situates the start of their communication when David was 17 and Celeste was still in elementary school, creating a severe imbalance that intensified with time. The collected evidence includes recovered Discord messages, shared photos, and timelines built from Celeste's online presence. Perhaps most revealing, both Celeste and David bore identical small tattoos on their fingers, markings investigators used to identify her and which signal a bond far deeper than casual friendship. The sequence of their alleged involvement aligns with what specialists recognize as classic grooming dynamics. Records indicate their exchanges began in David's Discord community, where Celeste's profile reportedly displayed an 18+ tag, hinting at early efforts to disguise her real age within circles he moderated. By 2023, when Celeste was 13 and David was 18, witnesses claimed the relationship had progressed into a romantic one. This period is particularly significant, as any sexual activity during that time would fall under statutory rape by California law regardless of perceived consent. The family's version of events adds another critical element to the developing timeline. Celeste's mother told reporters that her daughter mentioned dating someone named David shortly before disappearing in April 2024, when she was 14, though the family had never met him. This revelation indicates the relationship may have been hidden for years, only surfacing publicly in the months leading up to her disappearance. Witness accounts describe Celeste running away at 13 to meet David, consistent with reports that she had skipped school and spent extended periods away from home. Experts note this mirrors the isolation phase of grooming, during which abusers systematically detach victims from their usual support systems. The digital trail offers particularly persuasive proof, documenting how their relationship evolved over time. Circulating images allegedly show the pair together, even dressed in matching Hello Kitty outfits, details that underscore an unsettling level of coordination and closeness beyond mere friendship. Tweets linked to David appear to reference Celeste during his studio sessions, implying she was not only present but involved in his songwriting routine and daily work environment. The timing of her final online activity also carries weight. Reports show her last movement on Discord took place roughly 3 months before she vanished in April 2024, placing it around January that year. This silence suggests either a purposeful break from online contact or a shift toward private communication that left minimal digital evidence. Tracking her age throughout this alleged relationship outlines the full scope of possible legal breaches. Celeste was never of legal age during any phase. She was 12 during their early chats, 13 when dating supposedly began, 14 when she went missing, and 15 at the time of her death. In California, consent laws set 18 as the minimum, making any physical involvement potentially prosecutable as statutory rape under Penal Code Section 261.5. The extended timeline also raises major concerns about how many adults around David may have known of Celeste's true age. The gathered evidence indicates potential grooming rooted in David's seniority and influence within the music world. Exploiting a young admirer's devotion to initiate an illicit relationship, the reconstructed timeline deepens the case's disturbing complexity. Investigators reported Celeste's remains were found so decomposed that her death likely occurred weeks before discovery, possibly in late August 2025 during Los Angeles' severe heat wave. That timeframe aligns with the initial reports of the Tesla being wrecked and deserted, hinting at a link between her death and the vehicle's abandonment. The Tesla's condition when recovered offered crucial insight, having sat parked in the Hollywood Hills for weeks before towing. Due to the car's sealed design, odors were likely contained until it reached impound, potentially explaining why the body went unnoticed despite the car's visibility. The legal consequences tied to this timeline are extremely serious. The underage aspect opens possibilities for additional charges beyond homicide, ranging from lewd conduct with a minor to child endangerment, and even sex trafficking if evidence confirms David transported Celeste across state borders. Convictions under these charges could bring decades of imprisonment and mandatory offender registration. Public reaction to the unfolding timeline has been almost uniformly hostile toward David. Social media platforms have erupted with claims of predation and murder, emphasizing the age gap and leaked materials. The backlash has already derailed his career. Brands such as Crocs and Hollister cut ties, citing reputational risk over the allegations. His tour has taken a hit as well. The September 17 Seattle show was scrapped following Celeste's identification, leaving future dates in limbo. Streaming data reflect the fallout. His track Romantic Homicide saw a 15% drop in plays within a day of the timeline revelations. The situation has fueled a much wider discussion about safeguarding minors within online spaces and the entertainment scene at large. Platforms like Discord and social media are now under fire for enabling unchecked contact between public figures and underage followers, prompting calls for tighter verification and stronger oversight. As of September 26, 2025, no formal charges have been brought against David in connection with the alleged relationship or Celeste's death, but the mounting timeline has deepened police interest in the homicide inquiry. Authorities continue reviewing digital data, as the case highlights systemic flaws in protecting minors from exploitation. The emerging timeline depicts a bond that reportedly began in Celeste's childhood and persisted until her death in her teens, a tragic symbol of institutional neglect. Investigators believe this chronology will be central in establishing accountability and reshaping how society addresses digital-age child protection. The story of David and Celeste Rivas Hernandez extends beyond a single criminal case. It underscores how easily vulnerable children can slip through cracks in modern oversight systems. What first appeared as shocking reports about a body in a pop artist's car has evolved into a layered tragedy involving alleged grooming, legal misconduct, and a collective failure to protect a missing girl who had been visible all along. The testimonies of neighbors, the defensive statement from friends, and the reconstructed timeline together expose a widespread breakdown among adults who failed to recognize or report what seems to have been an inappropriate relationship with a minor. As the investigation continues, this case stands as a stark reminder of the shared duty to shield at-risk youth. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to explore another detailed story like this one, click one of the boxes on your screen now.